Well, hello everyone. It's such a beautiful day out there today. I certainly understand if you're out taking a walk and can't join us for the live portion of this class, and so enjoy the beautiful weather. Wisconsin is not a place where we get gorgeous days in abundance, and so no worries whatsoever. This is a little bit shorter today as we finish Ruth chapter 3, but there are some interesting things that I'm hoping to point out. And as I was studying this, I was sitting outside, obviously, because it's so nice outside, and just admiring the contrast of the um, green of my trees in the backyard, with the richness of the blue sky. It's a little breezy, but just that the whole sound of the wind going through the trees, and just had this feeling of what a beauty God's creation is, and how sometimes you just go, wow, you just marvel, and you can't even express words. You are just you know feeling overwhelmed in a wonderful way on how um, great everything is. And thinking about it, we can't really totally explain how it all got here. There are theories, but we weren't there. We don't have anything other than what we choose to believe, if you want to put it in that vernacular. We, you know, choose to believe that God created, but we have no proof. We have nothing other than what we tell ourselves and have convinced ourselves and choose to believe that all of this was created by God because it's so wondrous, of how the pieces fit together and how the different particles are made, and the trees have life and the plants have life and animals have life, and how we are so wondrously made. I just don't feel this comes together by chance, but yet can I prove it? No, not at all. And I had that same parallel feeling as I was looking at the Hebrew text for today's study. I'm looking at the words, and suddenly that same type of um, beauty, of awe, and just an appreciation came over me for what we have in God's Word to be able to study in the original languages. And I don't know that I've ever felt that way. Um, Previously, until I started studying the Hebrew and looking at these words and realizing what a rich treasure they are, and how the words are in there in the fashion that they're in, um, and how things are written in ways that, can I explain it all? No. Do I know exactly where it came from? No. Do I know who wrote it or who may have altered it or how it was preserved or how it came to us? Can I document all of that and know, why we have what we have? Not at all, but I choose to believe it. And I choose more than to believe it, I choose to allow it to affect my life. And I choose to follow its writings and dictates, if you will, and the things that are written, and I apply them to my life, and I find that my life is blessed because of it. And to me, that's more of a proof than any documentation trail of where it came from and the legitimacy of it, and so forth, because we can't prove any of it, but I can prove what it has done in my life and lives of countless others. And to me, that's the real beauty of it. And so I just want to share that little parallelism with you as we finish up Ruth chapter 3. And we're starting with the 16th verse. And as you remember, um, Ruth has gone to the threshing floor, spent the night with Boaz at his feet while he slept, supposedly. And it's just a beautiful story that we went through last week. And now it's daytime, and she runs home. And it's Vatavo el Hamotah. She came to her mother-in-law, Vatomer, and she said, and what's interesting here is the mother-in-law says, "Mi at bati," and it's translated as, "Who are you, my daughter?" And what I find really interesting here is this is the same words that are used back a few verses ago when Boaz woke up and sees Ruth at his feet. And just scrolling back um, to where this is, so you can see that the words are they're identical. Here he says, "Me at, who are you?" Now, obviously, somewhat slightly different circumstances because Ruth feels the need to say, I am Ruth, your maidservant. But in Hebrew, which has such a small vocabulary, the words are the same, but yet the context gives them different meaning. And again, that's part of the beauty I see. For some, it may seem like a frustration because you want to have everything spelled out for you and you want to have it all clear cut and have no questions to the meaning or the understanding. But biblical studies are not that way. And I think it's on purpose. I think the purpose is for us to um, be motivated, to be um, prompted in our heart to seek. And it's more of a test, if you will, that do we care enough to search? Do we care enough to pursue? And I believe God likes to be pursued. He likes to be sought after, very much on how this whole relationship works here between a man and a woman, and what we see here between Ruth and Boaz. You will see meetings that are somewhat clandestine. You'll see meetings that are feeling like they're ordained. And then you'll see the pursuit of who responds. And when there's emotions involved, who, um, who responds to those emotions and in what way. And so I see so many great beauties and parallelisms there. So she uses the words, "Who are you?" But again, it really saying, "What's going on? Tell me what happened." And so it says she told her all that she had done. What I noticed here is this word translated as "she told" is vataged, which is a very strange word to be used here. And so, with the beauty of the technology we have, we get to click on it and we get to unpack this word into God, and we see that its true meaning is to be conspicuous. Well, okay, now we're presented with what are we going to do? How are we going to, um, you know, sort our way through this, and what does this mean? And what's really neat here is the first time this word is used is in Genesis chapter 3, and God uses it when he confronts Adam and Eve. And this is just a very interesting word. And I don't know that I have a total grasp of it yet, but what it does is it gives me the understanding that there's more to it than just a simple telling. This is an exposing, this is a revealing, just as we look here in the upper right corner where God is telling Adam and Eve, "Who told you you were naked?" Obviously, this is full exposure, full disclosure of what's going on. And I think we can pick up when we look at these words like this, we can pick up the feeling and the emotion that possibly was going through Ruth as she's talking to her mother-in-law and feeling what I understand anyway is the move of God and the supernatural taking place, the divine guidance as she's going through here and talking to her daughter-in-law and telling her all that's as Ruth is talking to Naomi and saying, "Here's what all happened." And what's also interesting here, she uses a word and she says, "And she told her all that he had done, that the man had done for her." And that word stopped and made me investigate because the word is used when something has happened, to make or to do. It's a construction word. And he hadn't done anything yet. He spoke to her. He, barely touched her or laid a hand on her, um, other than maybe putting some grain in her apron. But otherwise, this was all spoken. But yet she took it as such a concrete, matter of fact done deal, basically. Um, and so she's using words that express that, again, what I believe she felt was the divine presence intervening and creating this situation that was beyond natural explanation. And so, she uses the term what he had done for her when in fact he hasn't done anything yet. But in her mind, it was all going forward and taking place. And then come back to what we talked about previous week are these six things of barley, I guess. We don't know, we don't believe it was ephahs, which it's mentioned here because, it would be way more than she'd be able to carry. It may have been 6 tablespoons. It may have been 6 grains. Uh, Again, the commentators really don't know, and they give you both ends of the spectrum to talk about. But yet it was a sign. It was a sign that his favor was upon her, and that she not appear to go home empty-handed to the mother-in-law. And it was convincing because we get to verse 18 and Naomi says, you could see her nodding her head and says, "Sit still, my daughter, and you know that it will turn out because this guy isn't going to rest until the matter has been concluded." And so, again, very interesting words here. The words for sit still is yashav. It means to dwell, to sit, remain, as you can see here by the um, NASB translation, many different words that could be conveyed to how she was feeling and how she was resting in this situation. And in fact, she was just being consoled here by her mother-in-law, saying, "Don't fret. Um, you know this is turning out. You know that he is working in this matter." And again, she relies upon, what she knows about men and human nature, and that if Boaz is really in love with her and really feels this is God's will, he will not rest. And this word rest is kind of interesting. Let's unpack it here. It's shachat. It's not the word for rest like Shabbat, the Sabbath. It's to be quiet or undisturbed. I think it gives something, it's kind of a two-way, that she should be calm, that she should trust, but yet it shows that he is going to be on this mission, and he is going to be focused and undeterred, and that there will be no rest for him. He will not sit. His heart will be beating wildly inside of his chest, and he will not give up until this whole situation has been concluded. And with that, we come to the end of the chapter. What I want to do now is just take a look at the Hebrew portion of this as far as what the commentators um, talk about that bring before you and let you see how these commentators um, go through here and talk about what's going on because that's another joy in itself. And so here we're reading from uh, Samson Raphael Hirsch, who wrote, she came to her mother-in-law, must have been a lot of anxiety that Naomi must have experienced through the night, pointing out that Naomi probably never slept too. And there he talks about this whole thing of translated, how is it with you, where the words are actually, who are you? And this goes into a whole midrash explanation, wondering, are you still a married or unmarried woman? Where they get this from, I don't know. The other commentator says, "Oh, it was probably still dark and Naomi didn't recognize her." I kind of doubt that. I think she knew exactly who she was. And there talks about all the detail that Ruth went into elaborate detail so Naomi would know exactly what's going on. It also talks about something we wouldn't see in the English is that there's an extra word that's translated, but it does not appear in the written Hebrew text. Remember, Hebrew has some modifications that are put in it to make things readable and by enhancing the understanding. And this is the word to me, Eli is put in there. And of course, here they take so why did she write that? And talks about Boaz and his modesty that he wouldn't even look at her, and just fantastic imaginations of what was going on. You can tell there were thousands of years that they have debated this and tried to go through every understanding of it. Um, Talks about being empty-handed. Um, we already discussed about that. And then verse 18 says, wait, my daughter, we can do nothing but wait. Um, the other commentator says we have done our part. God will now do his part. And then we know that there's still an unsettled matter of the closer kinsman redeemer, whether it's Boaz or this other person who's named Tov. So there's still, some uncertainty. And of course, then as this closes out, it says that Boaz will act on the matter and rest assured he will not delay. So as we understand all of this and see the anxiety and the anxiousness is probably a better word of what is going on and what is taking place. It sets up for this showdown and this action that's going to take place by Boaz that we will pick up in chapter 4. So with that, we'll let you have the rest of the afternoon to hopefully go out and take a nice walk and enjoy the weather. But I appreciate so much you taking the time to stop and listen and pray that this is just an encouragement to you in ways beyond anything I can imagine. So God bless all of you and look forward to seeing you next week. Bye-bye.
Hello, Wayne.